Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the beautiful Nora. Nora, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty great. How are you, Ken? Good to meet you.
I Very nice to meet you as well. I'm very excited to have you here. But before we talk about why you're here, Nora, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
Um, you have a very spooky birthday.
I do.
So, um, as a woman with a Halloween birthday, born on Halloween, the
Hmm.
paranormal has always been of interest to you. So here's my thing: like, did you ever go trick or treating on your birthday? Was that like your birthday thing?
Always. Yeah. I was pretty much always trick or treating on my birthday. And it was really nice as a kid because I would go up to houses and say, it's my birthday. And then you get extra candy. So that was always really fun.
Literally my
Always
next
been a fun
question.
birthday.
Like,
Yep.
I'm so
Yep.
good. I would have ID'd you. Can I see
Yep.
some ID for this purchase, please?
Well, now I'm getting like beers and wine coolers like while we're while we're trick or treating.
Right.
Don't mind
Well,
it.
and that's amazing too, because like it's already for especially for horror fans, it's a very special day. For you, it's a double special day. You were born on All Hallows Eve. So
Hmm.
that's super legit. That's super awesome. And growing up as a horror fan, obviously now you're doing horror Twitch streaming,
Yeah.
um, living in Colorado, and hopefully soon to go see the Stanley Hotel for the first time.
Hopefully. That's on my list.
You do love ghost hunting and all things paranormal. It's been your dream to do more regular investigations and continuing to create more horror content across social media platforms. So I gotta ask, what got you started in actually Twitch streaming?
That's a fun story. I'll give you the
I
kind
like
of
those.
I'll give you the condensed version because I am long worded. Um, so back in 2020, when everything was kind of wild. I mean, the same thing for my family. I had an unexpected event that brought me out back home to Ohio, and we had just found out that Phasmophobia had just come out and I was too spooked to play it by myself. It was a multiplayer game, but I didn't know anything else about it besides you're a ghost hunter, you're looking for ghosts, spooky things happen to you. So I tried it out with my sisters, and then we ended up finding some YouTube content of a bigger Phasmophobia streamer, and we got to watch a lot of those live streams as well on Twitch, and that was the first time that I'd ever heard of Twitch. Um, Super enjoyed it, really liked the content. Interacting with a streamer was just so different than anything else that I'd ever done before. Um, it was a cool way to interact with somebody live versus watching a YouTube video. So I thought that was really neat. And I got started into it not too long after that. I think I did my first stream like at the very end of December, very beginning of January in 2021. And it's kind of just taken off from there. So yeah, it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it.
And I'm glad that you found something that you were able to grab onto. And for those of you that aren't already, I do have all of Nora's social media links and her Twitch link down in the description. So make sure you're becoming a part of that family. Make sure you're following on social media and joining the Twitch family so that way you can be a part of all the spooky gaming that she does on there. And now, do you also do like paranormal like investigations and stuff like that on your Twitch as well?
Not on my Twitch, no. That's something that I would like to do in the future. I don't know what that would look like, what kind of equipment I would need to
Sure.
make that good content as well as my normal interactive Twitch stream. I think that it would be kind of difficult to maybe integrate the two, but it's something that I've been thinking about for sure. So at the current time, no, it's just horror games. Um, and if I do any other paranormal investigation stuff, it would be condensed down into like a spooks video or something along those lines.
Sure. Well, I can't wait to see that. Hopefully someday, maybe even a YouTube channel, we can check you out on here, watching
Hopefully.
you do all that. I think that would be amazing. So,
Thank you.
um, in order for you to be a paranormal investigator, in order for you to do Twitch streaming on horror video games, horror had to start for you somewhere. So
Sure.
now, Nora, I would like to go back to the past and talk
Yeah.
about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Nora, your first horror movie was.
It was Poltergeist. At least from what I can remember, I think it was Poltergeist, and I'm pretty sure that was a gift to me from my dad. It it was either my birthday or Christmas. I can't remember which one it was, but that threw me into, and I was probably like a teenager at this point. And that threw me into the horror genre. And I was just embracing all things spooky, all things horror. And I was watching horror movies really regularly with my friends. And that was something that we would do fairly often. And then I had another friend who took me on some of my first paranormal investigations. And that was really neat. So yeah, it's been going on for, oh my gosh, quite some time.
Right. And I know you said that you watched it at a very young age, but did you say your parents were with you the first time you had seen it? Or do you remember who you were with?
No, I can't remember like all the details. I think I was like 13 or so, 13, 14 years old. Yeah, I think my dad was watching it with me. Yeah, I remember not being as spooked as people were when it first came out.
Sure.
And there being some scenes that I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so horribly done. But I hear that they remade it in 2015. I have not watched the remake yet, but I would like to.
We'll talk about the remake here in a little bit, but with the original, I agree with you. I still think it's one of the best PG horror films of all time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Obviously they didn't have the PG-13 rating when this movie came out, but for this to get hit with a PG rating, I think it's still extremely terrifying for what it was at the time.
Oh yeah.
So, do you remember, Nora, which scene it was that affected you the most?
So there's two actually that come to mind. So the first one would be when the bodies are coming up into that pit of water and the woman sees it and she's screaming. And there was that. And then there was the scene, like someone's face is falling apart in a sink or something. I remember that. But then I find out later that the scene that I just mentioned, like with the bodies like coming out of the ground, was based around Cheeseman Park, which is not that far away from me. So I thought that I found that out later, and I was like, I did not know that Poltergeist was based around this park. So that was really cool to find out.
That is really cool because then it really makes it hit even closer to home after that.
Mm-hmm,
when you find out about how close it hit to you. So, and I got to say that those two scenes are so iconic because obviously you have the swimming pool and the skeletons and the fact that they used real skeletons and that freaks people out. They were not
fake.
You
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all real skeletons. And they talk about how at that time, 90% of the skeletons you would see on film were real skeletons because they were cheaper to get than actual, than fake ones, which is hilarious to me to even think about.
Yeah.
And then the face ripped off. When he's tearing his face off in the mirror, it's one of those scenes that I've always just been enamored with. At a young age, it freaks me out, but the older I get, I'm like, I'm really glad that they stay practical with this stuff and it looks practical. It looks a little silly, but I'd rather it look like that than overdone with CGI. So,
true.
So we know which two scenes affected you the most, but did you have a favorite scene from Poltergeist that you can remember?
Probably, well, this is, probably the most like iconic scene of that entire movie, but they're here. That one was always pretty spooky.
Especially because it's a little girl.
Yes.
A very, very young girl saying, they're here, like, who the fuck is here? What are you talking about? So, Poltergeist is a franchise now. We talked about it a little bit ago with the remake. They have Poltergeist 1 through 3, and then they had the 2015 remake. I know you haven't seen the remake, but
I don't think I saw the other ones either.
Oh, really? You haven't?
I don't think I did. No, I just saw the one.
Oh, I cannot recommend them enough. I think out of the movies, Poltergeist is probably the best made out of all the movies. And then Poltergeist 2 is probably the scariest. I think Poltergeist 2 is extremely terrifying with Reverend Kane. And then Poltergeist 3 is my favorite of the bunch.
I'm going to have to put these on my list.
Yeah, there are a lot of... Poltergeist 3, I think, is maybe more nostalgia, but it's my favorite of the bunch. And one thing I love about the remake of this film, and I've talked about this in length in some of our videos, Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann, died while filming Poltergeist 3. And she died because of a medical misdiagnosis.
Oh, gosh.
And so, this 12-year-old girl died while making Poltergeist 3. And yeah, in the remake, they have a young girl in it, but she's the complete opposite. She has dark hair, not blonde hair.
Oh.
And they changed her name to Maddie. That way, Carol Ann would never be done again. It was Heather with Carol Ann, and that's it. You'll never have another Carol Ann. So let's make it completely. And I respected the hell out of them for that.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that to me is the ultimate like honor to Heather O'Rourke's memory. You know what? We're gonna remake this movie, but your character is gonna stay with you. We're never gonna do that again because you were our Carol Ann. And to me, that was so special. As a father, as a human being with empathy, I just feel like that is such a special thing to do to honor that young lady's memory. So
I agree.
The Poltergeist remake, I don't hate. I just think it's extremely forgettable. That's all I say. It has some great moments in it, but the overabundance of CGI, I feel like, is just kind of
yeah.
So we know that you haven't seen many of the other films. So I usually ask, like, what's your favorite in the franchise? But
I haven't seen any of the other ones. Just the one.
By default, we're at Poltergeist. So, you know, and like I said, if you get the chance to check them out, I think 2, like I said, is probably the scariest.
Okay.
Reverend Kane, and 3, a lot of people don't like. And I get it. The end is dog shit. It's a stupid ending. But the young lady died, you know, and they went to the studio and they were like, we don't want to finish this film, and they were like, we've already paid for everything, slap an ending on it, and give us our film. So they put a body double in and hit her face, and the aunt just held her, and the movie ends. Like I'm not spoiling anything, I promise, but the directors, the producers, the actors, nobody wanted to finish the film. They were like, you know, we just lost Heather, and the studio was like, yeah, that sucks, but we spent money. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
that's strange.
Do you have Shudder by any chance, the streaming service?
No, I don't think so. No.
So Shudder has a documentary on there called Cursed Films. And I've talked about this on the channel before too. And they talk about all the different things that come with films that are cursed. And they have a whole episode on Poltergeist. And they have the director in there talking about Heather O'Rourke. And he's like, if I could go back in time now, I would have done something a lot more special to make that movie honor her instead of just, but he's like, at the time we were upset, we were angry, and it's a great, I would recommend Shudder anyway. I think it's the best streaming service out there if you're a horror fan.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, SHUDDER. If you're a fan of horror, it's the best streaming service out there. They have the best original horror. They play all the classics on there. A lot of great horror TV shows, like the Creepshow TV show is on there. But Cursed Films is one of my favorite documentaries on there. They go in depth on The Exorcist, Poltergeist, The Twilight Zone. It's an amazing documentary series, and really opens your eyes to a lot of the things going on around these films that were cursed in the eyes of the public. So, you know, we talked about Poltergeist being your first horror movie and what that movie means to you. But now for a second, Nora, I want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you here.
Sure.
My little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite scary movie, Nora? What is your favorite horror movie?
Oh man, my favorite. I wasn't ready for this. Let's see. I don't think Hocus Pocus really counts.
Hell yeah, Hocus Pocus counts.
I wouldn't call it like a horror movie. I mean, it is like one of my favorites. Trust me. Like that is something that I watch every year. The remake was interesting, or not the remake, but like the 2 Hocus Pocus 2 was, I think that they're really trying to capitalize on a lot of nostalgia for like us millennials. It's like, oh, you loved this when you were a kid, you're probably going to love it again now. And I love that they got most of the original actresses back. That was phenomenal that they were able to do it. But I don't know, it didn't hit home in the same way that the first one really did.
I totally think the first one's a horror movie. I just want to throw that out there. Like, you have these witches that you know, they get hanged in the movie. They come back to try to kill children. Like, they kill a kid in the movie. You know, like, yeah, it's very Disney-fied, but to me, it's a gateway horror film. Like, that's, if I was going to start, you know, when I started my children with horror, we started with Hocus Pocus, we started with The Gate, we started with Monster Squad, we started with all these, you know, kid horror movies. But I would still totally classify Hocus Pocus in the horror genre. And if my wife heard this, she would be like, yes, Hocus Pocus is 100% a horror movie. That's her favorite.
Like, I was gonna say, that counts, then I'll go with that. But like a close second was probably, not Amityville Horror, but what was that other one? A Haunting in Connecticut. That was really spooky.
And that one was based on real events.
It was, yeah. Both of them were.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the first one. The second one was okay. The one with Chad Michael Murray, that one was okay. But the first one I thought was really good. Had a lot of really effective scares.
You're talking about Amityville?
No, Haunting in Connecticut.
I did not know they made a second one.
Yeah, they have the Haunting
So
in Connecticut.
here's the running theme. I don't know that they've done they've made second movies.
Yeah, the second, it's the Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghost of Georgia, I think is what it's called. Chad Michael Murray is the main actor in it.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was good enough. Like it was okay, you know, but it wasn't anywhere near the first one. But
Right.
I did like Haunting in Connecticut 2 as well. I thought it was, you know, it was fun. I had a
Did it
good time
follow
with
the
it.
main family?
No,
No.
totally
Okay.
new
So that was
family, totally new haunt.
okay.
But it's still inspired by real events. So just like
Okay.
the first Haunting in Connecticut. So
Yeah, I like
I
that.
that's what I liked about it. And like I said, the cast was great. And just like the first one, you have this crazy twist type of ending to it. So I was just fine with the Haunting in Connecticut too. So
I put that on my list
um,
for spooky season.
please do.
Yes.
So I've had an amazing time with you, Nora, talking about your first horror movie, your
Yeah.
favorite horror movie, and some of the things that you do to try to bring horror into your life. But
Hmm.
before I let you go, we always bounce back to the same question.
Sure.
We're going to go back to Poltergeist, and what we're going to do is rank this movie on a skull count. Now, we're not
Okay.
ranking it on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. What
Okay.
we're doing is ranking Poltergeist on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Nora, what would your ranking of Poltergeist be?
My ranking of Poltergeist, I would give it a solid 4.
Mhm.
Because it was hugely influential in getting me into the horror genre, and now becoming a part of this huge horror community, paranormal people. So yeah, it was very influential.
Good. And it's that way for a lot of people. So I
Yeah.
know I said this at the beginning, guys, but we're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, I do have all of Nora's social media links, like I said before, and the Twitch link down in the description. So make sure that you are following on social media, subscribing on Twitch. I think it's subscribing. Am I correct in saying that? I'm not much of a Twitch guy.
Following is free. Subscribing is for money, but yeah, you can follow for free. And if you have a Amazon Prime account, you get 1 free sub a month to any Twitch creator that you like.
Use that sub today. So make sure you are following and subscribing on Twitch so you can stay up to date on all the amazing video games she's playing. We know we're going to have some amazing ones coming out here for spooky season. So make sure that you are following along so you can be a part of that as well. Nora, please don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Everybody else, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. All our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror. Stay what you are. And we'll see you guys soon.